The one show that I keep going back to is that show that I recommended on Apple TV called Disclaimer, starring Cate Blanchett and Sacha Baron Cohen, who... It's hard for me to watch Sacha Baron Cohen at this point, but he does not look like himself, which does help. That show, I have been recommending to everyone. I was only 2 episodes in, but I adore Cate Blanchett. It has an interesting mystery to it. There are weird circumstances surrounding the death of a younger man who was having relations with an older woman, and now his father is trying to get back at, anyway, it's implied that something nefarious happened. So I was hooked into it, right? And Chris and I sit down to watch half of episode 3 during halftime of some game at some point over the weekend. We squeezed half of episode 3. CJ, I have not seen SEX depicted on a show.
With grown-up sex.
Like this.
They were fornicating.
If I recommended this show to you...
Were they married?
No.
So it is fornicating.
Yeah.
Because only unmarried people can fornicate.
You gotta be in the right place to watch the show.
So wait, how long was the scene?
If you're in public, the scene was 15, 20 minutes.
15
but
minutes?
It's like the build up to the scene. There's a lot of words. There's a lot of verbal.
Yeah, that's how acting works.
There's a lot of verbal things happening at a dinner table beforehand.
Verbal or oral?
Verbal,
Okay.
and then oral, and then it's just
wow.
Chris
15 minutes?
recommended this show to a cashier at the grocery store.
Oh,
and he was like, oh no, what have I done? I recommended it to my parents. If I swear to you, it's the kind of show where we have watched, especially with my mom. There's something about being a young woman with not wanting to watch things with your dad, but with your mom, everything's cool, everything's whatever. And Chris and I have watched movies, TV shows with my mom. If this one popped up, we would have had to turn it off. I don't think we would have been built for it. We couldn't have done it. If this came up on the airplane, I would have been forced to close my laptop and not finish the episode. I could not have watched this in a public
place. Is that a show on
It
the
reminds me of
airplane?
I watched Game of Thrones on the airplane once upon a time, and there was a lot of nudity that would randomly pop up within that show. And I, at one point, dimmed my computer all the way down because you're there and there's children, and it just feels wrong if you just have a giant naked body popping up on your screen. But this one, and it just goes back and forth between that and some capital A acting from Leslie Manville and grief and just you're crying, and then it's back to that, and it's just very confusing on the system. But I've heard episode 5 is awesome.
What is this on?
Apple TV.
Okay.
And Shrinking came back, so we could have just watched Shrinking, but instead we're watching Disclaimer. And I'm sorry if I recommended Disclaimer to you, and as a family you decided to sit down and watch Disclaimer one night. And as a family, I don't mean just you and your partner. I mean you and multiple people. Oh,
that's good stuff.
I need to know if anyone else watched this show.
That's real good stuff.
So that's the only show that I've watched.
You know that cashier at the grocery store thinks of y'all as the freaky deaky couple now.
Oh, for sure.
When y'all come into the
I'm not
grocery
kidding.
store.
If you get to that episode.
When y'all come into the grocery store, he's hitting or she's hitting the other cashier yo, that's them. Them are the freaks who told me to watch that show. They're judging y'all. That's good stuff.
That's what Chris was like, Jess, you have a show. You should probably be a little more careful with what you recommend wholeheartedly to people.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like I should put a rating warning on it.
Listen, man, everybody, how do we think we got here? Sweet, sweet love making in most cases, all right? Play the Boys to Men in the background. Turn the lights down low. Light a candle. Maybe play a little Teddy Pendergrass.
I'll never look at Kylie Minogue the same.
Oh, really?
That's all I'm saying.
Is that good of a scene?
That's
what do
all
we see
I'm
in the
saying.
scene?
Everything.
Okay, we can't see everything. It's not a porno. So we see backs. So we see booty cheeks.
You see front
We
of
see
the woman. You
chest.
don't see the man's bottom half.
We see the woman's bottom
Yep.
half from the front.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
Wow. Oh wow.
Yep.
I need to find
Xavier
this
asked
scene.
if it was a Kroger cashier or a Whole Foods cashier. I want to know the difference.
Kroger cashiers are they are of the people. Whole Foods
I think-
cashiers live in gated communities.
That's not true.
That's the difference. You asked the difference.
I think
gave you
it
the
wasn't a
difference.
Whole Foods cashier. It was a Whole Foods meat lady.
I don't know where the Whole Food meat lady stays. The Whole Foods meat lady may be of the streets.
Okay.
So you may be okay. But
right.
if it was a cashier, they probably won't let you back in. Now that I'm thinking about it, if you did that to a Whole Foods cashier, they'd probably be like,
Security!
No, this person can't come back in here. They're too freaky.
Anyway, it's a good show. I can't wait to find out the twist.
The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hart, live every weekday at 8 a.m.